Hello and welcome back to Did You Know It's All in the Heights. I'm Rhina Valentin. Our next jewel of a landmark is United Palace, Manhattan's fourth largest theater with nearly 3,400 seats, opening its doors approximately 90 years ago and through all its transitions, remains an inclusive spiritual center honoring the building's legacy through concerts, multimedia, productions, movie screenings, and spiritual programming. Here to share more, please welcome United Palace Executive Producer Mike Fitelson. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here. I love that everyone's taking the time to just make sure that everyone knows what's going on in the Heights. And as we just mentioned, United Palace is a landmark that must be visited when you visit Washington Heights. How long have you been involved with the United Palace?
I've been there for about 7 years now in a variety of different capacities.
And so those capacities prior to becoming executive producer consisted of?
So beginning in 2012, we created a new nonprofit arts organization called the United Palace of Cultural Arts to make sure the community had access to this amazing facility. And over the years, I got more and more involved with booking, which then created the executive producer role.
So when you say booking, we're talking about the events. So what kind of events are taking place there now? I mean, I kind of mentioned it in a generic form, but do you have a season? Like, what should people expect when they go visit the United Palace?
Well, first off, you should expect to be blown off your feet because you walk in and the space is just spectacular. It's like somebody transplanted Versailles to Broadway and 175th Street. Everything is gilded and larger than life, just a spectacle to walk into. So we do a lot of concerts, everything from the former frontman of Roxy Music, Brian Ferry, was there a couple of weeks ago. We've got a lot of Spanish concerts coming up, like Barak and Silvestre Dangan. And then we have spiritual programming too, such as Deepak Chopra will be there on October 2nd. But you can also come to see a movie. And since the United Palace opened as a movie theater and vaudeville house back in 1930, we always try to honor that history by doing some sort of live entertainment for the movie, which could be anything from having Broadway stars and even guys like Peter Walsh come and sing before musicals like The Sound of Music, to before Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, we had a Brooklyn chocolatier do a chocolate demonstration on stage. And every now and then we get a superstar like our local native Lin-Manuel Miranda to come and introduce a movie and really get the audience jazzed before seeing a spectacle on a 50-foot screen.
Wow, so that's wonderful. That sounds exciting, right? Because it's more than just going to screen a movie.
Exactly.
And just because you mentioned Peter Walsh, I just want to let everyone know who he is. He's the co-owner of Coogan, so it's kind of interesting that you reference him as a celebrity, right? Because he's a celebrity of the neighborhood.
He's a local celebrity, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, and of course he's a personality too, which we love. And so when you mention these events and the way you're curating them, how does one go about keeping track of the different variations that you just mentioned?
Certainly. Well, everything's online, unitedpalace.org. You can always keep track with us through that or social media, or just come by the building. It's beautiful. We've always got a sign out front telling you what's coming next.
And so is the building open every day?
It's not open every day because we have a lot of private activities, private events. We do a lot of film and TV shoots there as well. John Wick 3, part of that was shot there. A lot of activities in the community.
So how has that been for you, being the executive producer of this famous establishment?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's one of those jobs where I live in the neighborhood and I've lived there for a number of years. So it's always fantastic to be a part of something in my neighborhood that I can walk to, that I walk down the street and bump into people who say, hey, what's happening at the Palace? What's going there next? Or I love that last movie you showed. When's the next time you're going to show 101 Dalmatians or something like that? It's a great way of being connected with what's happening in the community.
So you get a lot of locals that are participating within the United Palace, not just people coming from different parts of the world, because it's like a landmark in the Washington Heights.
Yes. So well, we're also always getting people from Brooklyn downtown, throughout the metropolitan area, And in Europe, Europeans love their theaters. So we get a lot of phone calls from people saying, I'm only going to be in New York for a couple of days. Can I come check out the Palace?
And so just because you mentioned that, people should just come by. Like, do you feel that the Palace isn't really recognized on the scale that it should, based on the amount of people that live in New York?
Well, I think that in New York, everybody's always competing with everything else. What are you going to do today? You're going to go to the Statue of Liberty? Are you going to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art? Are you going to go to the United Palace? Or are you going to lie in bed and do Facebook all day? That's kind of what we're all competing with, right?
Oh my gosh, what choices, right? No, it's sad that we're living in a society where people are getting caught up just being online and not living life and being in the present and experiencing what life has to offer, such as beauties, the beauty of an establishment such as the United Palace. So,
and we think that that's really one of the joys of going to a theater, of being in a theater, and having that human interaction where you're not just in your cocoon, your silo. You're sitting, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow with somebody who you don't know, enjoying the same experience at the same time, and having that sense of humanity. And to us, this is where we bridge being a spiritual center and a theater, and we consider that spiritual artistry, where we're all artists inside, and we need to have these moments where we recognize the artistry in each other, the humanity in each other, and oftentimes you do that through great art, a movie, a musical, plays.
Beautiful. And thank you for providing that space and that platform, or maintaining it and managing it so that it's welcoming in such a manner. Thank you. And thank you for sharing it here with our viewers. And you guys, once again, for programs and events, please make sure to visit the United Palace, located on 4140 Broadway at 175th Street. To learn more, visit unitedpalace.org and be sure to follow them on Twitter at United Palace NYC.